The Vron scout ship slowly descended through Earth's atmosphere. A curious alien pilot, Jill scanned the surface below with keen alien eyes, capturing the diverse landscapes and oceans that stretched as far as the eye could see. The planet is unusually lush for a world so young in its history, and as it sails through rolling clouds, Jill's industrial-era sensors detect all kinds of life forms that thrive on its fertile surface. I sensed a huge herd of animals grazing, fascinated by the diversity of life that had evolved here independently of the wider universe, from the flying creatures that dotted the skies to the primitive settlements of bipedal mammals along riverbanks and coastlines. He steered the ship to the area with the greatest concentration of bipedal mammals. As a human in the database, Jill chose a secluded landing spot on the edge of the vast city center as the small ship rattled in the lower atmosphere. The discovery of the natives was recorded by a primitive radar system, but it was not possible to change the stealth descent since they had almost nothing. I whisper in an empty field. Jill quickly extended her senses from the ship's hull, and several young men approached within 30 meters to examine the strange metal object protruding from the earth. Jill sent peaceful greetings in every known human language on screen. The reaction was confusion and amusement rather than fear. The brave young man waved and smiled at the alien vis in front of him. Jill was surprised by this expression of trust from an unknown species that had been exploring the galaxy for centuries. First contact often began with distrust, if not outright hostility. So there was a twinkling gasp of surprise as the three human cubs stared open-mouthed and wide-eyed at the scout ship. Also disabled the cloaking field. Opportunities for open interaction between their peoples were too rare to pass up. Jill chuckled and extended her long fingers in greeting. I come in peace. Please tell me. He told me about your world, and now I can tell you about mine. Let me tell you, it took almost an hour of patient translation work. Jill was finally able to do so, and he was able to effectively communicate with people who introduced themselves as Bob, Steve, and Amanda. Zeal told stories about gas giants, dwarf planets, and alien landscapes filled with colors not seen on Earth. In return, people tell Jill about their world, from the majestic mountains and rugged valleys to the rainforests and rich canyons of the stark desert, and he learns about humanity's rapid technological advances and how even the simplest things can be. I knew I had found beauty. Bob announces that the aliens clearly need an authentic, welcome to Earth experience. Steve enthusiastically offered to show us around nearby cities in his own private car. Jill was amazed by the compact yet powerful internal combustion engine of this vehicle, which has been providing anti-gravity transportation for thousands of years. Within minutes, they arrived at a cavernous building with a flashing sign outside. Inside, there's a bewildering flood of stimulation, loud music blaring from the polished floors and arcades, a cacophony of electronic beeps and rumblings vying for attention, and strange rituals performed along the walls. There was a line of people waiting, demonstrating a balanced stance and swing motion and rolling the ball across the painted path. Zill, with a little persuasion, lifted one of the weighted balls with mixed results. Strangely, their density was different from the rest of his homeland, but if understanding humanity meant sharing their customs, he would give it. He let loose across the track and unleashed an earth-shaking impact while Jill did what she did best with her natural body. The whole building, although initially clumsy, people laughed at Jill's unexpected strength, as she clumsily tried to imitate the movements of other bowlers and ran as fast as she could. Every time I rolled the ball, I felt more connected to my new friends and their world, as if the simple act of bowling was bridging the gap. After learning the art of bowling to the cheers of her new friends, Jill became interested in learn how to bridge the gap between tribes and learn more about human culture. Bob is done with work in the alley, and he goes to a local tavern for a drink and announces it's time for the main event. The busy downtown streets were flashing with advertisements, and soon they arrived at a busy pub, bursting at the seams. The sensory assault was overwhelming. A cacophony of shouted conversations competed with blues music blaring from old-fashioned speakers. The aromas of grilled meats, sweets, and fermented beverages invaded the sensors of Zill's old factory and pressed against the long, polished bars, requiring some effort from shoulder to shoulder crack. Always resourceful, Steve flashed a bill and caught the bartender's attention. "What can I give you?" he asked boredly, noticing Jill's unusual eyes following them from all sides with her mouth open. Steve ordered beer for everyone. Jill studied the bubbly mug in front of her, finding a pleasant yet unfamiliar aroma profile, and took a careful sip, marveling at the cool liquid spreading throughout her body. This beer is very special. A delightful Jill explained that as time passed and the drinks flowed, he was already reaching for a beer. Jill gradually relaxes into this wild celebration of humanity. Happy conversations flow freely around him. Discussions about sports teams continue. Jokes are exchanged freely, and most of all, prejudices and fears disappear. Until the end, only acceptance remained between the new friends of different stars. This year, Jill has begun to truly understand Earthlings and their insatiable pursuit of pleasure, even in their simplicity, and as the brightly colored skies usher in a new day, he realizes that this culture is perhaps a forced part of a separate existence. I smiled at the fact that it was not through an exchange but through a shared experience. The world will be able to forge lasting bonds across the universe. If you open your heart, you will find hope.